Good morning, my dear students, and welcome back to the class on active and passive voice. In the previous class, we had gone through the 3 rules regarding the active and passive voice, and hope we have clear with all those rules. And in today's class, we are going to have the continuation of the rules regarding active and passive voice. I hope you are clear with the active and passive voice, and you are understanding what I am taking for you. So we go to today's class, rules regarding active and passive voice. So you come to rule number 4 because we have completed the first 3, and today's class we will deal with rule number 4. Rule number 4 will say that when there is prepositional verb in active voice, prepositional verb means preposition attached to the verb. Preposition is not dropped in the passive voice. When there is a prepositional verb coming in a sentence and when you are converting that sentence into passive voice, the preposition should not be dropped. It has to remain in the passive voice. Once again, when there is prepositional verb in the active voice, which means preposition attached to the verb, preposition is not dropped in the passive voice. It has to remain. It has to be there in the passive voice. Now we'll take an example so that you will understand it better. For an example, the crowd laughed at the cloud. That is active voice. So what is a prepositional verb? In this sentence, prepositional verb is laughed at because we have got the verb plus a preposition. So when you convert it into passive voice, the preposition called at must not be dropped. It has to remain in the passive voice. So how does it come? The clown was laughed at by the crowd. See the prepositional verb the preposition remains the same in the passive voice. So that is rule number 4. I hope you have understood. The crowd laughed at, that is the prepositional verb, which means there has to be a verb plus a preposition. When you convert that sentence into passive voice, the preposition has to remain the same in the passive voice, should not be dropped in the passive voice. Now moving on to the next one, we have rule number 5. When there are modal verbs coming in the active voice like may, might, can, must, should, ought, what is the rule? The formula is be plus past participle of the verb. So when you have modal verbs coming in the active voice like may, might, can, must, should, ought, when you convert into passive voice, remember the formula is be plus past participle of the verb. The basic changes will remain the same. There will not be any change for that one. All those 4 basic changes that I have taught you will be there in this particular rule also. Now let's take an example. For an example, you must do your work. So we have got a modal verb called must coming in the sentence. So the modal verb is must. So when you convert into passive voice, it is be plus past participle of the verb. Besides all the 4 basic changes. Now does it happen? Your work, because your work is the object, that becomes a subject. Must, the modal verb remains the same. Be plus past participle of the verb. Your work must be done by you. So that is with regard to the modal verbs coming in the active voice. I hope you have understood. Now moving on to the third one. Sorry, that's rule number 6. The object of the active voice can be either singular or plural, must agree with the subject. Object of the active voice can be either singular or plural. The verb must agree with the subject. What does it mean? He is writing a letter, that is in active voice. The object of the active voice is a letter and that is singular. So according to the rule, the verb must agree with the subject, which means the verb must be agreeing with the subject called a letter, which is a singular subject. Let's take the answer. A letter is being written by him, that is in passive voice. Remember the verb called is agreeing with the subject called a letter. I hope you have understood. So the verb called is agreeing with the subject called a letter, that is singular, and the verb is also singular. So these are 3 rules that you need to understand today. I hope you have understood. Kindly go through the rules once again by yourself and try to make your own examples. Do not by heart the examples that I am giving to you. That must be a basis for you on which you must be able to make your own examples, and that is the only way you will understand the concepts. So thank you. Continue to study well.